All right, welcome back. What day is it? September 5th, Labor Day
Yeah.
2022. The world is wilder than ever. I think it's been 2 weeks since we last spoke, maybe three. There's so much that's happened. I just woke up a little bit ago and just saw even wilder news. I don't think we're going to talk about it much, but in Canada, there's like 10 people stabbed or something.
Oh yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
it doesn't stop the crazy news. Everything's wild. So, what do you have for us today, Todd? I want to hear from you first.
I mean, I feel like, and it happened, end of last week, but I feel like it was fucking wild. And it was actually happening in Philadelphia. It
The,
was
the
Joe
speech.
Biden's insane speech. And like,
So,
look, well, and
interesting
it's
about,
just
wait. I got to preface this a little bit first. I don't whatever I say, I don't necessarily always believe. I come up with like hypotheticals and thought. So like
okay.
I'm not gonna say I supported the speech or didn't support the speech. We're just gonna talk about the speech. But it does seem very divisive that you talk in some circles, it was the most insane speech ever. You talk in other circles, and it was a great speech that like brought Biden back and he's like back in power.
Yeah.
So wait,
No,
you're more of the insane.
it's not good that that is the response to, because like, look, if nothing else, like, and obviously I'm not the first person who's had this thought. It basically was, as soon as it was being broadcast, everyone was like, what the hell is with these optics and like the black and the red and the lights and the
That's what
marines
I
in the
that looked like a
background? Like,
dictatorship, like
yes,
kind of
it,
right.
it 100% looks like a dictatorship. And like,
And
and it's like, I don't care what you think or if you love Joe Biden, you have to at least admit that the way they laid out that speech and the way they made him look, it was ridiculous.
it's
Like,
it's kind
it's
of
this whole job.
like
Go
Trump
on.
when he had COVID and he had that speech in the front lawn. Remember that?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "How are you going to do that? That's like it looks like a dictator." To me, this seemed like the same exact type of speech, like the same optics, the same angles, and all that.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that, and it's you've seen this dumb thing that they're trying to do where they did like Dark Brandon, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
Biden, like I literally, and I, again, not the first person to say this, but I think they literally were like, oh, this Dark Brandon meme is cool. Let's do it in real life. Like, and it's like, or not, maybe don't do that. But yeah, I mean, I think the speech was fucking crazy. Outside of the optics, just the way he was talking, this idea that Joe Biden was going to be the one to bring America back together again and not be divisive, and then you go on to give a speech like that is absolutely crazy.
Because he said basically all MAGA supporters are like the enemy, right?
a, you could safely make that assumption by watching that speech. I don't think he didn't explicitly say like enemy or enemy of the people, but just a lot of rhetoric around like how these people are basically like completely lost or like completely, just not in the mainstream and are not to be trusted, basically. And it's like, and I think it's really wild to see this going on because, and to a lesser degree, you had Charlie Crist. He's running for governor against Ron DeSantis in Florida, who came out and said that he does not want anyone who's a Ron DeSantis supporter to vote for him. And it's like, okay, well, that means you're probably not going to win the election because he's got like a 55% approval rating in Florida, I believe. And it's just like this whole thing now with basically saying, if you don't agree with me, like you're dead to me. Like, that's not the way American politics has worked. It's been like, you might not agree with me, but I'm going to now spend time convincing you why you should agree with me,
Yeah,
and I'm
they're
going to treat
supposed to
you
work
like a
together
human.
and
Yes.
compromise and make things better, but it's just
Just not even that. It's just like, if you're a politician and you think that the way you're going to win is that the only people that are going to vote for you are people that already supported you, like, no, you're supposed to try to persuade some people. And
right.
it's not, and part of that persuasion comes from, I'm going to need to convince people that we're going to vote for the other guy to vote for me.
Hmm.
And then you also had, in a similar vein, you had Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York. She made some comment where she said that, anyone who, doesn't agree with what they're doing or like doesn't support her, they're free to move to Florida. Basically, are people that like are Trump voters that live in the state because it's not obviously a Republican state, but there are people that voted for Trump there, and it's like to basically tell them, be like, you know what, forget you, like we don't even need you, leave. Like this is just a weird time in politics. Like it's becoming obvious. And look, and I'm not going to act like it's just Democrats doing it. Trump was very much the same way in terms of like you're sort of with this or against it. I don't think it was right when he did it. I don't think it's good that it's sort of more people are taking this stance of like, if you don't agree with us, you're dead to us. Like that's not good.
So civil war, is it happening?
I don't know, man. I think
Or
the
what's next?
next
What comes after this? Yeah.
I think the next like two elections are going to be very, very illustrative of sort of how this stuff all goes. And when I say two elections, maybe I mean, well, like the midterms will be interesting, and I think the next presidential election will be very interesting.
Yeah.
And
Well,
look, I
do you
think
think Trump's gonna run?
I hope not. I really hope not. I mean, I think we can't. I think we need a change from Biden, and I think one of the only people that Biden would be able to easily beat would be Trump, just because people hate Trump so much. Like he's so damn divisive. It's also funny now because Ron DeSantis has been like someone people have been paying attention to, and like now there are all these articles where it's like, well, you thought Trump was bad. Ron DeSantis is actually worse, and it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You can't keep just telling me that every single new Republican politician is worse than Hitler.
Right.
Like the way they talked about George Bush and then Mitt Romney of all people, the most like probably one of the most decent people in terms of like not being like just a
He's Mormon.
terrible like monster. Exactly. Like he's
Yeah.
probably one of the more like honest and upstanding politicians we have, even if I disagree with much of what he believes. But like come on, like this idea that you made Mitt Romney into a monster, like people don't believe it anymore. And it's why Trump was able to squeak through because he was like, or part of the reason is everyone's like, look, man, you spent the last 12 years telling me every single person who wasn't a Democrat was basically Hitler and a racist and wanted to like re-enslave black people. So like I'm done listening. Like I'm checked out because if everyone is that bad and evil, then no one is. There has to be some actual factual distinction of like this person is uniquely bad.
Yeah.
Um,
We use the
so
word
yeah.
Nazi way too much now. I
Oh,
find it like a
oh,
little offensive. It's like, no, these people, a real Nazi was horrible. Like there's bad people right now, but to call everyone a Nazi just seems I don't know. I don't understand. I don't really like it.
well,
But
yeah, we're just completely skewed because I was listening to a podcast, and so forgive me, this person might be talking about their ass, but they said they read some article where some like crazy resistance anti-Trump lefty type person wrote something that like January 6th was our 9/11, and it's like no motherfucker, our 9/11 was 9/11.
yeah,
like,
yeah,
like,
that makes no
it's like
sense.
like 3,000 plus people didn't die on January 6th, and it didn't create two global wars at the very least, and probably many more that have cost countless trillions of dollars and cost countless lives.
Right.
No, it's
But
no, these things are different and they
back,
aren't the same.
back to the speech though, I will admit, I did think it was like the optics just looked a little weird. The pictures that came out did look a little weird. I will admit though, the last month since kind of like since Biden got COVID and got out of his quarantine, he does seem like he has a new energy and that he's like seems like he's getting things done. I don't know if they're good things necessarily or whatever, but it seems like he is finally getting things going a little. Do you agree with that, or is that just me thinking that?
I think it's 50% true that he has gotten some stuff done. Like, look, he had the Inflation Reduction Act, which is ridiculously named because it's probably not going to do anything for inflation. They got like this CHIPS Act passed, which is good. Like, I fully
Did,
support
did you see
the CHIPS
Pelosi with the CHIPS Act? Fucking
Act.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
sold
they sold it.
Nvidia, and then they announced the Chips Act, and then Nvidia went down 20%. It's like, how obvious
Well,
is it that she's cheating?
yeah, well, it was funny because at first they bought it and they're like, oh, well, you're going to do this, and they're like, oh, so she sells it to avoid the look. But then it turns out the government tells Nvidia that they can't sell chips to China or Russia, which is what caused the stock to drop. And it's like, oh yeah, I bet you probably had no idea that that was going to happen. So instead of making a bunch of money because the Chips Act blows the business up, you're now saving money by mitigating your losses because you sell it before they're told that they can't sell chips to this massive section of the market.
Crazy.
But yeah, no, I think, and then look, and then he's also got this student loan thing, which I think that slim majorities of Americans support, but I think a lot of people are like, this doesn't feel right, and the way he's doing it is also like completely legally questionable.
Look,
And
do you think so? That's what we're going to talk about. Segue into the next thing. We're talking about student loans. Is it legal? Because I read this very interesting thought that said this guy thinks maybe, and it seems like this would be a very smart move. 3D checkers, whatever. Maybe Biden did this on purpose, knowing it would get rejected by the courts or like overturned.
yeah,
And then basically they said he's gonna look good because he tried to do it. So like he still gets his brownie points because like, no, I tried, even though he knows it's not gonna go through. And then it's gonna make the Supreme Court look bad because they're gonna overturn it. And basically a lot of people are gonna be happy with Biden, mad at the court. And then this guy thinks maybe then Biden would nominate adding justices to the Supreme Court to try and like even out. And like that seems messed up because it's like, yo, we have rules for a reason. When you guys change the rules and stuff, it's messed up. But I don't know. That
yeah,
seems wild. I don't know how likely it is it's gonna pass or get overturned. I don't really think it was a good deal at all. And I've been trying to like be talk to people about it, and people say like, "Oh, you're just spoiled. You don't have loans. You don't understand." It's like, no, I don't give a fuck that you're getting your loans taken off. Like, I really don't. I want people to not have to pay loans. But here's the problem. The problem isn't fixed by just paying the loans. You still have
yeah,
predatory lending. You still have insane interest rates. You still have kids taking loans for things that they are not going to be able to pay back. Fix the
right.
system and then give $10,000 to everyone. Give $20,000. I don't care, but fix the system first. Similar to like, to me, it's similar to weed. Everyone talks about like legalizing weed, doing this, that, whatever. No, get everyone out of jail first, who already is in jail for nonviolent stuff, and then do it. It's like just
Yeah.
the order of these things doesn't always make sense to me. We got to fix the problem, otherwise it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think and that's really what I've been thinking too about the whole path that this loan forgiveness is likely to follow is that he did it with very questionable legal authority. It's going to get challenged by Republicans, and he's going to get to do exactly that. Look, I'm the one who was fighting for you. I'm the one who was trying to help you. And these nasty Republicans and these jerks in the Supreme Court that are just enforcing the law as written.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're the ones who are bad, and it's like, you know what? There's nothing stopping Congress from debating a loan forgiveness bill, and that's the way it should go because in our constitutional system the Congress is the one who controls the purse strings. They're supposed to be the ones who pass laws to authorize, spending and whatnot. And then the executive can veto it or move it forward or sort of administer the programs that are passed. But it's this idea that, yeah, we can just try to like find some loophole. And I mean, because the whole justification for it's in the HEROES Act, which was initially passed to help for debt around 9/11 and like first responders. And
Yeah.
they're saying that the pandemic is this new emergency. And also, I think I read like the original act, like the actual act passed by Congress, I think allocated $45 billion to it, much of which I think was already spent when they actually used the program. And then this program is going to cost anywhere from like, half a trillion to $1 trillion, depending on how many people actually apply for forgiveness. So it's like, we don't have, like, there's no money for it like that.
Yeah.
And
And
you
doesn't
just
isn't it
people,
going to make inflation even worse too? Like,
I mean, it's very likely. I mean, it's
um,
because if you theoretically tell a bunch of people like, hey, you now have $10,000 you don't have to pay back. That's now $10,000 that they can go try to
Spend.
buy stuff with, or spend on goods, which is a part of the way, a driver of inflation. So,
Yep.
I don't see how it doesn't happen, but I think it'll be interesting. I think, frankly, I almost think the Republicans would be better off not challenging it in court and just being like, all right, you want to do this? Fine, let's do it. Go nuts. Like, but I don't think they will do that. I think they are going to sort of fall into this trap of being the ones who kill it, and then the Democrats and Biden just get to turn around and hammer the Republicans with it, because people aren't savvy and people are selfish at the end of the day, and they're gonna see. They're not going to think about, oh well, constitutionally and legally he shouldn't do that. So yeah, I guess I will pay this. I'm okay with not getting this $10,000 forgiven. No, they're going to say, I'm pissed off. I wanted this $10,000 forgiven. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think, and look, you and I, and I think you more so than me, we've both sort of worked within higher education, and we both have seen firsthand the just disgraceful way that higher education is administered, in terms of money being wasted, students being lied to, and just the amount of, like, the fact that this is not coming after some sort of reformation of the way the student loan industry works is insane to me, because we're going to be right back in this position within less than 2 years.
Exactly. And
Um,
so here's my question too is I think according to my understanding, a big reason for the problem with this debt is because it's guaranteed and you can't go bankrupt with it. Like
yeah,
it's
that's part
with
of
you
it.
till death. If so, I feel like if they got rid of that rule, things would already like kind of start getting better. Schools wouldn't be able to charge as much as they want because there could be a bankruptcy and they're not going to collect. So they're going to have to like charge what it's worth or closer to value. But what happens if they give this $10,000 back? The problem still happens. If I go to school in 5 years, or I have a kid who's going to school in 10 years, is that person going to assume that they're going to get debt forgiven too? Like, is this a thing that's going to happen every 10 years? Why did this person get debt forgiven? A kid going a freshman year at school this year is more expensive than the kid who went 10 years ago. So why is that person gonna just be stuck with the debt? If you can't do it for everyone, like I don't understand how they think like this is fair. And like life
Yeah,
isn't fair, I know, but it's
yeah.
you can have a more fair system or something that makes a little more sense.
Completely agree. And I think, the fact that, and something that I've heard floated, it's the one idea that I really like a lot. It's that I think that schools should have to choose to co-sign the loans of students
Yep.
they admit. So it's like, look, if your student defaults because you didn't educate them, or you lied and they took out way too much debt for the job they actually were able to get, and they can't pay, you're paying us now. You've got that big juicy endowment, start cutting checks. Like
Yeah, exactly.
the fact that the universities have zero skin in the game in terms of saying, if you're going to be pushing people through the system and they're going to be coming out and basically living as, a working poor person, that's not right. And, we should be telling those students realistically, be like when you are choosing a major, they should have to tell you, this is like what your likelihood of getting a job in this field is. This is what the average salary is. This is where it's like, oh, if you want to work in New York City, it's going to be you versus 10,000 people. If you want to go work in like Omaha, Nebraska, yeah, you might be able to get a job here, but where you probably want to live in New York, you probably don't want to live in Omaha. Like, just some
Right.
sort of like helping people understand, like, this path you're going down, this is what you're likely to make with compensation on like a 5-year timetable, a 10-year, and a 20-year timetable. And here's what your job prospects are like. Here's what the industry prospects are like. Because I do think it's, you're seeing this thing where, I think there are people that make choices to pursue careers that they don't love because they know it'll be a good ROI. There's a
Yep.
lot of people that work as accountants and work in finance that don't love accounting or finance, but they know it pays the bills, and they
Right.
know that they're going to be able to have a job. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to subsidize someone who pursued a passion project in college, ran up $100,000 because they went to their dream school instead of a state school, and now they're struggling because they made a series of emotional and not financially savvy decisions. Like, I don't know what to do. And look, and
And
I'm someone who didn't have debt. My parents, so I was very lucky on that sense. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's my situation, and I'm extremely fortunate for it. But we can't keep subsidizing these, just completely, just emotionally based financial decisions.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then I feel too, a lot of people say like, oh, school is too expensive though. Like we need people need to be educated to get jobs. There are a lot of free options to get educated. Like if you're from Philadelphia, I think with above a 3.0 high school GPA or maybe even a little lower, you get to go to Community College of Philadelphia for free. So it's like, why is that option not good enough for people? Is a little weird to me. It's like, why are people choosing to go to University of Nebraska when they're from New Jersey and paying $35,000 a year? It's like there are cheaper options. People make it seem like there's not like a cheaper option. There definitely are. And like to your point too, people choose based on ROI. I literally wanted to go to Penn since I was 2 years old. And then when I was 17, 18, the money for Penn compared to a scholarship from Temple, like kind of just didn't make as much sense for me. And I get a lot of help from my grandparents. They had a lot of money put away for school for me.
Mhm.
Super fortunate for that. But it was still in my head. It was like it's still $45,000 a year. If it's my money or my grandparents, doesn't matter. That's a lot of money. And if I can get
Yeah.
something similar at Temple, why not? I'm not going to be like the top student at Wharton. So if I'm not going to be the top student at Wharton, um, I don't think it's that much of a difference for me going to a school that was 1/5 the price. Uh, and it's like I don't know
Yeah.
why other people can't like make those decisions or realize that.
I think that's completely correct, and I think that the biggest thing is it's like I feel like kids are getting lied to,
Yeah,
and I feel like our generation was the first one to really sort of see this lie, because the whole lie, and it sort of was true for a while, was you go to college, you get a degree, you get a good job, you can then
yep,
have a solid middle class life, and it's like, you know what, and that was true for a very long time, and then it was not true.
yeah,
And I think, now as someone who has been working on renovating houses and whatnot, like, I mean, shoot, I would talk to the electricians, and these guys are pulling in low to mid six figures. Now they're working very long hours, but these are people that within 2 to 3 years of getting out of high school are making, high 80, $90,000, maybe $100,000 with basically no debt.
Well, get this. Imagine if they were allowed to take on debt like the college kids, they'd probably be even bigger. Like if you get $200,000 to go to Penn, why can't this electrician get a loan for $200,000 to buy a van for his business to get like
Yep.
whatever he might need to get workers to get whatever? That guy would be
Yeah.
even better off. But like for some reason, you can get a loan for something that you're not going to be able to pay back, but you can't get a loan for like a business. Doesn't really add up or make much sense. But last thing, little segue, kind of unrelated, but
All
relate.
right.
Everything's related. Did you hear about the droughts in China?
I sort of know a little bit that they're not doing so hot.
Supposedly there's like full rivers, huge rivers that in the span of like a month or two have completely dried up because just the heat is out of control, no rain and all that. Why I think of it though is between that, Russia, Ukraine, America with all of our climate issues and whatnot, I can't stop thinking this winter is going to be so catastrophic for food. You people are
Well,
not going to be able to eat, and like I keep on trying to tell people as much as possible, like yo, supplement whatever you're doing a little bit, grow some sprouts, grow some mushrooms, grow something in your house that you're going to be able to eat, because there's going to be a time where the grocery store is not going to have much food. And like, I hope I'm wrong, but it seems obvious that all of the farming this summer was not nearly as high crop as they usually do. Like on top of all the other issues that we have. Um, I don't know. Kind of wild though.
no, you're absolutely right. And I think another big thing that is going to impact this, I don't know if you saw, but Russia, because, we're the entire Western world is at war with Russia, but no one wants to actually call it what it is and call it a proxy war. So
Right.
they now indefinitely cut off natural gas to Germany, which is the hub that they basically closed down that Nord Stream 1 pipeline. They're like, oh, there are technical difficulties, so we can't give you any natural gas. Not less, you are getting zero. And a lot of these countries have filled up their supply tanks, so they might be okay. But I'm also reading
No,
stuff that is saying that with the supplies they have, they're going to basically be running out of gas starting around like December or
I,
January. So
dude, I
if this
heard
winter is bad at all, it's not going to be fun times in Europe.
I heard UK energy bills went up 6x in the last month. So if you were paying
There, I've been
$100 for
seeing.
energy, it's 600 now. That is a huge difference that
Mhm.
will put a lot of people like at zero instantly. And then we have 6 months of this being cold. On top, I don't know. It just seems wild. And like I keep on feeling like things are getting crazier and wilder and like not good. But for some reason, like COVID's kind of over. So people are like just celebrating, doing whatever, and like not worrying. And it's like, yo, this these are some big issues. Then
There's a
part of me thinks some people realize how bad it is and they think that like this is the end. Like it kind of feels like it. I don't know.
I
Um,
mean, I don't think I'm that pessimistic. I like to try to, remain an optimist whenever possible. But like, there's some big things going on that I do feel like you said, I feel like a lot of people aren't even really talking about. Like, I feel like a lot of the biggest things that are likely to create really big problems within the next, 6 to 12 months are really not being discussed by like everyday people, at least in conversations that I have.
no, same. And we could people don't realize how quickly things can fucking collapse. Like quick.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. No, it's been modern societies go down fast.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We'll end on that lovely note. And that is the week we missed. We missed like a whole month. Uh, every day is like a full month of events lately. We are back though. We're gonna be hopefully doing this weekly again now that summer is over. And then we will also be having guests. Actually, little thing for you, Todd, at the end. I started sharing this podcast with my Mushmore community and they are all fans, and I'm a little worried now. Like if I
Oh
say
no.
something wrong, yeah, like all right, I gotta really censor what I'm saying these days, because we actually have some people watching now, so pretty
Well,
cool though.
maybe we just get rid of the first like 20 episodes.
Yeah, yeah, right. Not a bad idea. Or edit
Mike,
up.
maybe we just do that. um,
The thing is that the internet's forever. Like you could become a CEO in 20, 30 years and like people are going to dig this shit up. When people become famous, there's sleuths on the internet who literally go all over Twitter for the last like 20 years to just try and find some dirt on you. It's crazy.
no,
But
I know I've been a good boy. I feel like you've gotten a little wild here sometimes though,
I
but
don't believe anything I say. I'm just talking. I got to preface that on. I don't believe it. I'm just talking. But much love, brother. I
but
had a great time talking with you. Any last thoughts?
no, that's it. Great time talking to you as always, and talk to you next week.
All right.